Welcome to The Explainer, where we use slides to break down some of history's biggest ideas. And today, we're going to put one of philosophy's greatest works through let's just say, a very physical test.
Right, so this is Edwin. He's a basketball player, and he is just moments away from a profound revelation. Now, we're tackling the philosophical giant René Descartes today, but we're going to do it through Edwin's eyes. You see, Edwin loves shooting from the top of the key. But right now, his intestines are staging a very, very violent protest.
And that brings us to the central question of our explainer today. Yeah. What on earth does explosive diarrhea have to do with the fundamental nature of reality? Well, as it turns out, quite a lot. Especially when your digestive system decides to question existence at the exact moment you're trying to sink a perfect three-point.
This right here is what we're calling Edwin's foundational crisis. And just like Edwin's very sudden, very physical emergency, the philosopher René Descartes started his famous book, Meditations, with an intellectual crisis. He was on a mission to find one thing, just one single thing that he could know for absolute, undeniable certain.
So what did he do? He decided to take a metaphorical wrecking ball to the entire building of his beliefs. Every opinion, every single fact he'd learned since he was a kid. All of it had to go. He needed to demolish everything just to find that bedrock, that one unshakable truth he could build a new house of knowledge on. Now, while Descartes' demolition project was, a calm, thought-out thing he did by the fireside, Edwin's was not. His was an involuntary, full-body demolition derby. His foundations weren't just being questioned, they were being violently, and I mean audibly, liquidated. To achieve this demolition, Descartes used what's called the method of doubt, and it has 3 steps. For Edwin, this wasn't some abstract exercise. First, doubt the senses. That deep, gut rumbling. Is it really as bad as it feels? I mean, our senses lie to us all the time, right? Step 2, the dream argument. Maybe this is all just a horrible, horrible nightmare. It feels incredibly real, but hey, so do dreams when you're in them. And finally, step 3, the evil demon. What if some all-powerful cosmic jerk is orchestrating this entire gut-wrenching symphony just for laughs, just to mess with him? So let's think about this. When your entire world, both inside you and outside, is just dissolving into a state of, utter chaos, what can you actually hold on to? What can you possibly be sure of?
So just like Edwin has completely demolished his shorts, Descartes has demolished his entire system of beliefs. He describes himself as being left in an unrelenting darkness, with absolutely nothing left to stand on, just pure radical doubt. Okay, back to Edwin. Mid-catastrophe, dripping with doubt and other things, he can't trust the court under his feet. He certainly can't trust the rumbling in his own stomach. But in all that noise and panic, there was one thing. One single thought that cut through it all. He can doubt the basketball, the hoop, the demon, even his own traitorous bowels, but there's one thing he cannot doubt. He cannot doubt that he is doubting. The very act of thinking about this absolute horror proves one thing for certain. A thinker must exist to be doing the thinking.
And this, my friends, is the legendary cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. This is the first solid brick. It's the one unshakable foundation that both Descartes and a very, very distressed Edwin can finally use to start rebuilding reality from the ground up. Okay, so this breakthrough brings us to a huge, profound disconnect. It's a philosophical problem that, for Edwin, is playing out in the most visceral way imaginable, the epic battle between the mind and the body, or, in his case, the mind versus the bowels. This perfectly illustrates Descartes' famous theory of mind-body dualism. He argued that the mind, what he called res cogitans, is a non-physical thinking thing. It's the pilot. The body, the res extensa, is just an extended physical machine. For poor Edwin, the pilot in his head is screaming, "Shoot the ball!" But the machine is, busy experiencing a catastrophic hydraulic failure. Descartes has a great thought experiment for this. Imagine a piece of wax. It feels hard. It smells a little like honey. It has a certain shape. Now melt it by the fire. Suddenly, all of those sensory properties, the smell, the texture, the shape, they all change. Our senses are totally confused, but our intellect, our mind, knows it's the same piece of wax. For Edwin, his senses are just screaming chaos, but his intellect knows one clear thing. His body, this extended, changeable machine, is spectacularly failing him. So, this leads to the next giant problem. If my senses can lie, and my body is basically just a faulty biological machine, a treacherous meat suit, then how can I be sure the basketball court, the hoop, or even the ball are really there? How do I know that Evil Demon isn't just faking the whole thing? So how do we get out of this mess? How do we escape the demon's simulation? Well, Descartes realizes he needs a guarantor. He needs something or someone powerful enough to vouch for reality and, essentially, fire the evil demon. He needs, as the slide so beautifully puts it, a cosmic janitor. And Descartes' truly astonishing answer is God. Now, his logic here is actually pretty simple, but it's powerful. It goes like this. By definition, God is a perfect being. Okay. Deception, lying, trickery, those are all flaws. They're imperfections. Therefore, a perfect God cannot be a deceiver. The ultimate cosmic janitor just wouldn't build a universe that's deliberately broken just to mess with us. But wait, how does he prove that God even exists in the first place? Well, he starts with his own ideas. Think of it like this. Every idea you have has a kind of power level. The idea of a rock, that has a pretty low power level. But the idea of a perfect, all-knowing, infinite being, that idea has an infinite power level, what Descartes called infinite objective reality.
And here's the proof, which he calls the causal adequacy principle. The rule is simple. You can't get more out of something than you put in. A small cause can't create a gigantic effect. So the question is, where did Descartes, a finite, imperfect, limited human being, get an idea with an infinite power level? He couldn't have made it up himself. He's just a guy. And Edwin, in his current state, is acutely aware of his own messy, finite limitations. He certainly isn't dreaming up perfection right now. No, the idea must have come from a source that actually has an equally infinite power level. It had to come from God himself.
And boom, God becomes the ultimate guarantee. The cosmic janitor who ensures the evil demon isn't running the show. And this means that the external world our senses perceive, the basketball court, the hoop, the ball, it isn't a total lie. And for Edwin, it means that the horrible, slippery, embarrassing mess on the court is, unfortunately, 100% real. Which leaves us with one final, messy thought to take away. Descartes used God to clean up his philosophical mess and prove that reality is real. But we are still just pilots, rattling around inside these strange, unreliable machines. So the next time you fail, you miss that shot, you bomb that presentation, you screw something up, ask yourself, is the world deceiving you? Or is it just your own treacherous, gurgling meat suit having a little foundational crisis of its own?